this year. I mean, that's
not too bad.
I can never get over it. I can never get over just how like insane the devs are when it comes to supporting this game. But it's what's led to the scene as it is today. It's what led to all of us being here, all of you watching. So we're gonna get into, I believe, the last set of our block here. Game number 1 just about to be underway.
Yeah, and we talked about how big the repertoire is for weapons on Blue's side. We are seeing the bow and spear come underway, and just about every single set you and I have covered today have had an Azuri. At least one game of Azuri. For the most part, it's been nothing but Azuri for one of these opponents, and that's going to be Blaze this time around. The sword has been oppressive. Not as oppressive as I would say we saw like BCX or even in 2022, but what's been most impressive to me have been the reads with the sword. Just maintaining space, resetting yourself, and, well, like Blaze, the offstage play has been incredible.
That is disgusting. That is just like... It's so hard to mentally, like, just your first game of the set get such an early KO, but if there's anything we've seen from Blue today, they do have that composure, they do have the ability to make a comeback.
Yeah, and the big question is right now, what can the spear do when you have such an overly aggressive Azuri and Blue is just fighting for their life? They're drowning at the bottom of this stage, but they're able to make that recovery and they get back on. Blue Blaze, not even showing guitars whatsoever just yet, just maintaining the sword non-stop, only now getting hit by a signature, loses that first stock, but I mean, the damage. Blue is practically in the red already, and if Blaze picks up that sword again, we can probably expect to see a 2-1 stock line.
Yeah, I mean, you have talked about the Kaya having a bit more weight, but like how, you know, having a bit more defense to them as well, but how well is that really gonna pan out?
Yeah, it's easier said than done, right? But actually, not even the sword, it's the guitars and the damage barely even affecting Blaze at all going into that the final stock of game 1 for Blue. Blaze has just been, well, a blaze of glory, making sure that Blue is never in a safe spot at all when landing or even in the air. Off stage again. Blaze is just waiting for Blue to make that mistake. Hook, line, and sinker. There it is. The punishes are out again. Blaze already sending Blue away, barely able to get back onto the stage. The jumps almost reset. It's that bow again. We haven't seen much bow play yet either, Bio. And, well, I don't really blame Blue either. There's never really been an opportunity where Blaze hasn't spot dodged out of that opening initial attack.
And the thing that's crazy about Blaze to me is like, they managed to go so far off stage to where it looks like they're overextending, and then they're somehow still in advantage state out of it. Like, they're somehow able to maintain this pressure the entire time, and you see what that ends up resulting in. It's game 1 going to Blaze.
It's like a magnetic field coming out from Blaze, where it's like, they know the perfect range about where to go off stage so they don't overextend. And we've seen just about every player, I think, thus far, at least in our block, overextend at one point or another in the offstage play. I mean, sure, it's been one game, but Blaze had that range perfectly every single engagement.
So yeah, we do see the Koji swap. We saw this earlier on in the block. It didn't end up working out for Blue, but coming out after the first loss, and we actually, like, we did see the Koji swap didn't work out, and then Blue was able to take, you know, another 2 games afterwards. So I respect them going for it when, you know, it's not down 2-0, you know, everything on the line. I do think, you know, for the way that Blue plays, that kind of, you know, adaptive play style where over the course of the set they learn more, it definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and swapping away from that spear, that did have a little bit of an appearance into the sword. I mean, this just reminds me of what we had seen, I believe, in our second set. We had seen the Kaya swap into the Koji, and then the Koji didn't really do much. And then the immediate swap back into Kaya, and there was a big turnaround there. But again, we're seeing a much more competitive game this time around. Blue is able to maintain that first stock a lot longer than game number 1. Blaze now forced to use the guitars more than we had seen in game 1 as well. And Blue finding so much punish potential with the bow. That's Blaze to lose the first stock.
And it's been a rare sight to see Blue in the lead this early on, but once they have it, it is rough to close the gap.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I was talking about that player that went from Kaya to Koji back to Kaya. That was Blue!
Yeah!
That was Blue earlier today. My bad, I just put that together. Completely didn't cross my mind, but I mean, same exact swap, same adjustments, same stage where this Koji did not find much impact. But now Blue has taken that, what, half hour of time to kind of settle down, adjust, probably warm up on the Koji as well. And it's been a world of a difference already.
God, and just like zero pressure on Blue right now. Like they're in the lead, they know it, and they're perfectly fine just maintaining this gap as long as possible. You gotta work for it if you're Blaze to find a way in.
Oh, but find a way in they do. That's gonna be the first stock gone for Blue, but similar to game one, damage has already been somewhat done. It could be down to one signature that Blue needs in order to bring Blaze down to their final stock of game two. They just need the perfect read here. They send Blaze off stage. Blaze is able to get back onto the stage though, find a punish potential, but Blue dashes out of the way. Only a little bit of damage has been applied. Blue does not have a lot of defense to work with here and needs to find this punish and take down this second stock right now. Look at that. A neutral light is able to send Blaze into the sky, and so is another attack to send them down to their final stock.
And yeah, it's wild. It's wild to me to see how much better the Koji is doing this time around off the swap.
And I wonder if that has to do with Blaze playing the Azuri, because when we had seen Blue play earlier today, that was up against Battle Boots and Tezca. That was a very different story. But now that's a little bit more of a conventional weapon that you've been seeing as a competitive player for literally years. I feel like there's a lot more comfortability that Blue can bring out with this Koji.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that's harder than fighting a new weapon, it's fighting a new weapon on your secondary character.
In a tournament, no less.
In a tournament, yeah, like it's a lot of things to work with. But yeah, the comfort factor in full effect here. You know, Blue lapping Blaze in health, in stocks.
Ooh, that was such a great dodge read from Blue. That could have been devastating, but even, okay, fine. Still got punished. Fine, that's okay. But that dodge read could have been destructive against Blue. But now it's down to the final stock. We've been singing the praises of Blue this entire game. The adjustments of Koji have been working out so well. Blue just needs one final good hit to send Blaze to game 3.
And is that going to do it? It is. Fantastic turnaround here from Blue in the second game. And I mean, now the question is like, is Blaze gonna swap out? Because what we've seen from a lot of the Azuri players is like, even if they go down, they're still perfectly confident to stick on that legend. And it's looking like that's what we're gonna get here in the third game.
Yeah, I'm not really expecting to see any Azuri legend swaps away from that character because, I mean, it's just been so dominant. Azuri's been doing so well this entire tournament. I think it's more of a macro level thing for Blaze to kind of just adjust to this new legend instead of having the Kaya. It's going to be faster paced than when the Spear is out, and so you have to worry about a lot more of that neutral game control that Kaya is good at, but is easier to punish.
So yeah, we're going to see, I mean, it's just so tough because like Blue was in full control that last game. It's like Blaze was just always one step behind. So how do you find the holes in your game plan? How do you make that adaptation when it felt like you couldn't even get a foothold in that last game?
Yeah, I wonder if Blaze is going to try to go for more offstage play again. We had seen that in game 1, not really as much game 2, and even when we did, Blue had those, again, great dodge reads. So, be difficult. Blaze is going to maintain those guitars starting off, and I like this change. You're not going to go sword versus sword, but you have a bow off stage, and that can be so rough.
Goodness.
That's devastating for Blaze. That's not the start that you want.
And to add insult to injury, just the falling sword bonking you on the head right off your fresh new stock. I mean, that's a tilter. That's a big tilter too. And the problem with that, you know, missed dodge read at the end of the last game too is like, sure, even though you get the KO, you feel less confident about going for those types of reads in the following game. So now you're already down a stock. You're getting lapped again. You see Blue just making that work so well. What do? You go for a read, doesn't pan out your way. Blue's back on stage. You just gotta swing. And it's not enough. It's not enough to close out the first stock either.
Oh,
Oh my god.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because it's not like a legend issue. It's almost a fundamental mental issue, I would say, because again, these reads, Blaze has them down, but Blue is anticipating all these gigantic reads, just like that super punch coming out from Blue. And now Blaze tries to land the read from Blue again, the recovery into a nair, into a weapon throw. Blue is on fire right now.
This is domination. Like, this is... What a turnaround. That's all I can really say from that first game.
It's two completely different players. From when we had seen game 1 to even farther back when Blue was up against Addy. This is so different from Blue, and I love this play. And now Blaze, who looked unstoppable game 1, is almost left at a loss. We're seeing these dodge reads come out, but again, the immediate pivot away from Blue, make sure that there's a reset and Blaze does not have any sort of advantage before going into a fight. Blue is stuck into the air and Blaze is able to find a little bit of damage, but Blue actually relegates the sword away, possibly back into the bow, and there it is. This bow, Blaze has not been able to get around.
And the thing that like scares me for Blaze is like they're doing a lot of just aerial approaches, trying to get some sort of like dodge inward, but Blue doesn't really care. Like Blue's, you know, you want to mix up my timing? You have to come back down. You have no choice. Gravity comes for us all, my friend.
It's a bow and arrow. You just shoot them down.
Yeah, it's got a perfect spacing for Blue to work around.
And Blaze is down to that final stock. Jumping, dodging, really just anywhere you go is just Blue is there. Like literally every possible movement has been read by Blue. I am beyond impressed. These last 2 games have been a miraculous turnaround for Blue.
That bit of patience at the end there. Drift back, wait for the dodge. Into the blast zone you go. 2-1 lead here for Blue. And it's looking like it's not stopping anytime soon.
You know what? I'm going to take back what I said going into game 3. I think we do see a legend swap from Blaze.
We have to see.
Yeah, we can see. The audience can't see it, but we can see that Blaze hasn't selected a legend yet, and we do get to see that adjustment. Should we wait to tell them before we get in the game, or should we let everyone see it at the same time?
I mean, we gotta let them see it at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the Zol
like
coming
it.
out. I think it shows on stream now, yeah.
It might. I'm not sure, but we do have Blaze now rocking the Zol. I like this change because we can already see not a lot of defense for Blue's Koji. They do add a little bit of extra defense to themselves, but I mean, when you have Zol, you already have so much attack under your belt that you can kind of just tank that defense anyway. So you can just kind of mow it down. Early axe comes down and 2, 3 swings already that connect, and Blue's practically an orange.
I mean, the big question mark for me is, you know, we've seen Blaze go for these types of aggressive reads and Blue able to counteract it. You know, when you have these heavy hitting weapons, you have to make those reads count. If you can just run over your opponent, but Blue's been doing such a good job of avoiding them, both of them dodging in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, and the range for the axe too is so much greater than both guitars and the sword. And Blue loves that offstage play, but now that Blaze can punish it multiple times over in a single button press, it's gonna leave Blue with a lot less options than before, but still red to orange. Ooh, a really good start again, and Blaze falls from a weapon throw.
I mean, the good news, if you're Blaze right now, is it's not that hard to close out the stock. Like, one more hit here, you get 1 read, and that's just it. Yep.
Yep, just like that. It's exactly like the first stock never happened. The Blaze now has that cannon. Something that's been a little tried and true, a little bit tested in the past. Well, up against the sword can shut down those horizontal plays so quickly. It's just a matter of Blue adjusting to the timings that Blaze has. And so far, Blue has not been able to do so. Now, I'm going to pose a theory to you. Let's say, hypothetically, Blaze wins this game. Do you think we will see Blue go back to the Kaya?
I think it depends how close it is. I think that's the big factor. Like, it's so scary if you have a close game to just toss that coin, toss the coin of fate and say, all right, I think it's gonna work better with the other legend. Because like, from what we've seen so far, this has been a really, really close game 4. And you know, Blue hasn't really felt too pressured. Sure, you know, in the beginning of the game, they took a few hits, took a few, you know, swings to the face in a row. But ever since then, like, it slowed down a lot. Blue's been able to kind of maintain the pace, control the pace of this game. So I feel like they would stick with the Koji.
I agree. I think you can still play a very slow and methodical game from the Kaya, but I completely agree that I think this Koji might be the best pick right now. But it comes down to this next signature.
Yeah.
Whoever loses their next stock might determine how, if there is another game, how it goes. But Blue is able to find that stock lead. Blaze falls. And now it's up to Blaze to make this stock count. And like you said, all it takes is a simple like side air to even up the odds again. But with Blue slowing things down to almost a snail's pace, just avoiding the axe as much as humanly possible. It's not even about taking damage now to Blaze, it's more so just maintaining the second stock.
Yeah.
Wow.
Couldn't maintain it for long. Couldn't maintain it for long. And you only need that one. All you need is one opening. And that's the thing, is like, Zol seems like a very volatile character. I think that may actually incentivize Blue to stick on the Koji even more, because like, if you get red once and you lose the game off it, it's like, oh, well, I won that if that one thing didn't happen. But we gotta actually get to that game 5 first. We're gonna see if Blue can close things out.
If Zol's volatile, would that make him a glass cannon?
Well done. Well done, my friend. More time for puns later, though. We got, look at this orange health on both of them. No time for jokes, no time for games. It's a serious business here.
Serious business. And Blaze almost had the recovery against Blue. That surely should have ended Blue's final stock. But now Blaze is left without a weapon. Goes for the side air. The weapon throw doesn't connect, but the recovery is forced to be used. And there it is, the down air. Koji brings it back, and Blue doesn't need to go for any kind of swaps.
Oh, man. I mean, respectable swap as well from Blaze. Like, that was down to the wire. It really just came down to that final read. I mean, there's not much else room for you to go. Like, you have one destination. But yeah, the timing to call that out, perfectly done from Blue. And now we need to see if we have any more sets on our hand, or if that was the last of our block.
I believe that was our last one. I believe we have the amazing Polly and Dara coming up next. I mean, man, I really want to see more Zol.
Yeah, I mean, it was close. It was very, very close. And that was, you know, just the one game. So if not this tournament, maybe in the next, we'll see a return of the Blaze Zol.